So entrepreneurs, today we're going to be talking again about, now you have built up your financial strategies, you're going to need to ask yourself, what resources do I need? What capacity do I need in my team to help me to actually manage and make sure that my contract financing is done right, to make sure that my working capital and my cash flow is sorted, but to also make sure my financial management is actually built up. I think you also need to understand that if you are ignoring this part to resource your unit or your finance in business, you will actually suffer a bit. And the reason why you will suffer is because you will make decisions that are not right. The mistakes that I was mentioning earlier will be some of the mistakes that you will make. So you need to make sure that the decisions that you are making, someone else actually provides some sort of a sounding board on you and provide an oversight, especially when you are making material decisions. So what I call a material decision is decisions that if you make a mistake, they might actually cost you for a very long time. So, and sometimes it's not so much about a financial strategies, it's also just about the timing. So let me explain something in more detail. About 2 years ago, I was running a program, and one of my clients in that program said, Precious, I am really stuck right now. This gentleman was actually running trucks, and he had saved some money about 1 year ago, and in him saving some money, he then listened to some shows that were running, and they told him that actually if you want to have his return on investment and accumulate more wealth on the money, instead of him saving this money somewhere in a call account, it's better for him to actually invest in assets, i.e. build a house. And then from that house, he can resell it in a township, because the values in a township are increasing faster than in the suburb. You need to understand that financial strategies have to be informed by the end result, has to be informed by the goal. His goal was, purpose of him saving this money was for him to actually buy a truck, because he knew that his trucks have actually finished the lifespan or the useful life. So he just was waiting for this truck. If they break, he then just go and replace them. Now, he is taking this financial strategy or idea, and then he's implementing in his life. He takes that money, he invests it into a house. And yes, at the beginning, he feels quite good that, because they said the houses in the township, the turnaround time is quite high and the values are quite high as compared. That's a great investment when you look at the numbers. But when you think about the need and the purpose of that money, then there's a problem. About 1.5 years after he has started that investment, the builder had not finished building the house. The value of the house, or the cost that he had put in, was already above 700,000. And then the car broke down. He doesn't have cash now to actually buy another truck, because the money is now on this asset, which is the house. So he is saying to me, Precious, I am stuck because now I have invested in this house. I need to figure out how to get out of it for me to buy the truck, which was the purpose as to why I actually invested on this. I asked him a few questions. Number one, what's the average value of the houses in your area? When I asked the question, he did not know. I went to Property 24, did the square meters he had given me, and got an estimation by just looking at the area that he's at and picking up how much were the recent sold houses within the square meters, within 5, 10 kilometers radius to then determine that he has overinvested on this asset. The houses were selling at average of on 450,000 on the same square meters. He has overinvested in an environment where the houses that are actually limited then in terms of the price. I then asked him as to who did advise him to actually invest on a house that is approximately like almost two times the size of the selling price in the market. He said, the builder, when he told the builder the builder said, how much do you have? And then I said to him, you are asking the wrong person. You need to understand when someone is giving you advice, ask yourself, what interest does that have? Obviously, as a builder, if someone is asking me the house they want to build and I do not know if this is the house they want to keep or sell, I will try to build them as big a house as I can. So you really need to pay attention to things like that. One, understand that your financial strategies is going to be informed by the goal. Number two, validate the advice that you are getting. Make sure the advice that you are getting is someone who has no interest whatsoever. So after we found out that actually he has overinvested on that asset, I then told him to take that house out of the market because he was going to lose. He was never going to get his money back. I then advised him to actually no longer build a home, but rather make rooms. So by the time we were done, he ended up adding up another 200,000, building more within that area, but making rooms and bathroom of single bedrooms to make sure that he can rent out. After we had done that, within a space of 3 months, we had actually have built more rooms and started generating rental income, which then was able to finance itself because we rebonded that house because now it's a rental income. And that then assisted him to now actually use that money to buy the truck. And each time when he makes decisions, I get a WhatsApp message from him because it's one of those things that sometimes we're listening to information and we think that's a great idea. You have to understand the content and the context and also be clear about what is your goal. There's nothing worse than having this, and I'm lucky that he actually picked up he had a problem, but also we're able to actually turn things around within a very short space of time. So why am I building this? I'm building this to say that you might be getting advice, unsolicited advice. Maybe it's your favorite show in finance, or maybe you always need to sit with someone to help you analyze your own circumstances and the goals that you are working on for you then to make the decision. Sometimes this decision can cost you a lot of money. You don't want to make mistakes that will cost you a lot of money. If I didn't come into this client at the right time, he could have lost more than 300,000. And that's a lot of money because within the trucking business, that is built over time. He had saved this money for years and he was going to lose it all because there was no way he was going to sell a property in an environment where the average square meters of the houses is at 450, while the value has put in is already 700,000. Now, so how are you going to know whether you're building the right team and where do you go to find support and help in what you're building? Guys, there is lots of it. There is lots of support, especially in the space in finance. And I'm going to talk about the ones that you are paying and the ones that you are not paying. I know entrepreneurs always love free stuff. So the first one that you will not need to pay for is one, using your bank. Most entrepreneurs, they are within the banking solutions, but the way they have a relationship with the bank, it's almost like it's an individual contract. You have to understand, when you have a bank account as a business, you get additional service that you should be looking at when you are looking at brochures. But just make an appointment with your bank manager and say, I'm intending to make the following decisions, and this is how I intend to solve this problem. What do you think are the ideas I can actually get to? That's number one. Number two, your accountant. Most of you, the last time you see your accountant is when you're looking for your tax clearance. That's a shame. The accountant can actually assist you to tell you how you should actually be building up the team. You're already paying them. Pay them extra to consult. Say, I want to sit with you. This is where I'm at in my business. These are the decisions I want to make, and how can you help me to make sure that these are the right decisions for me? People like myself, I train and teach for a living. We're always running training and seminars and case studies. You can actually, before you make a decision, investigate the decision you want to make. Be very clear about your goal. Be very clear about what you want to achieve. But there is more than enough support and help out there. You just need to look for it and stop pretending you know. Because we all know you don't know. Remember, entrepreneurs, most of us are first-time generation entrepreneurs. We're not like other tribes where they actually got this on the table while they are young. So asking for help does not mean you're stupid, does not mean you don't know. It's validating whether you are making the right decision or a good decision at that time. So as you're building up your team, I need you to understand a few things. When you look at finance in general, you talk about the finance of the world. You will see this also even on your notes. So what do I mean, the world of finance? The world of finance is understanding how economics work. And it's also about understanding how business economics work. So when we talk about how the world of finance work, we have to understand what influence our GDP, what influence our trading, how that we then trade with others, and how that influence our standard of living, how that also influence what we sell and when we sell it, and how do we sell it. So that is things relating to interest rate, microeconomics that also relate to fiscal policy, monetary policy, all that stuff that the Minister of Finance generally will talk about. And again, entrepreneurs will ignore and move to another channel when the Minister of Finance is talking. So as an entrepreneur, you're going to need to make a really serious decision on understanding how does interest rate influence me, because you have to understand that interest rate, unemployment, all social ills that we have, they do have an implication on how we run and build our businesses. So when you look at that, that is what we call just finance in general. Within that, we will have another layer which we call it corporate finance. Now, corporate finance is when we are making those decisions I spoke about earlier. It's got 3 decisions that you make. 1, which asset am I actually going to be investing in? 2, how do I finance that asset? 3, what's my dividends decision? What is my return on investment? That is what we call corporate finance. But within corporate finance, you also need to understand, once those 3 decisions have been made, you're going to need to manage the day-to-day running, which is now financial management. So what is financial management? Financial management is when you are running your business, executing the decisions that have been made here, being influenced by external and internal factors like macroeconomics, unemployment, the socioeconomic, and all those things that influence how we actually run. So financial management is what? A day-to-day running of the business. Within financial management, we will then have what we call accounting. Accounting is taking these decisions and activities and transactions that happen on financial management and recording them, summarizing them. And before they get summarized, there is a last bit in here which we call bookkeeping. Again, entrepreneurs, you're going to find this circle, I call it World of Finance, in your notes. Bookkeeping. Bookkeeping is getting all the transactions from the source documents, which is your invoices, getting them to the trial balance, which is a summary of information. But the accountant takes the stuff that is on that and classify it according to their discipline. So in accounting, we have 4 sisters. Sister number 1, financial accountant. By profession, I'm a registered auditor and a chartered accountant, which means I will sign off your financial statement and say they have been fairly presented in terms of Companies Act and the standards. The financial accountants, they use the standards. The standards, which means these financial statements that are drawn in South Africa can also be looked at by another business somewhere else, anywhere in the world, because we all use standards. Accountant sister number 2 is the cost accountant. The cost accountant is the person who does the costing of your product to make sure that you are pricing things right and you are profitable. The financial accountant you're going to need every year, because every year you're going to need to produce financial statement. That is the requirement of the law. And every year, once you have done your books, they need to be submitted to the companies of registrar. You will also then need sister number 3, which is called management accountant. The management accountant is going to assist you to make sure that the goals you have set for your business, like I mentioned about your financial goals, are actually being managed and also being reported back whether we are not meeting our target or we are meeting our target. And this will run as same as if it's an income, if it's an asset, or if it's an expense. They basically help you to manage those 4 components. But they are designed, these reports that management accountant are done are designed according to what you need and also what you are managing. The last, my favorite accountant out of these 4 sisters is a tax accountant, the one that we scared most. They look at the legislation based on the same information that the other accountants looked at. Remember, I said the financial accountant, which is me, report based on standards. But the tax accountant use the legislation. In South Africa, it will be income tax, value-added tax, state duties, donation tax, and a whole list. But all of those legislation, they are about how do we classify and categorize the information that the bookkeeper has actually summarized to make sure that it suits the needs. You may ask the question, but Precious, I'm actually small. Do I really need all these 4 sisters? Yes, you do. You actually need the 4 sisters, but you will need the management accountant and cost accountant once in a lifetime of your business. For example, the cost accountant, when you're costing a specific product or service, you will only use them once in that specific product. For the management accountant, once you have set in your chart of account, you know what you are managing in the strategies. That's it. That's the end. However, the tax accountant and the financial accountant, you're going to need them every year. The tax accountant you might actually even need every month, depending whether you're registered as an employer or you're also registered in terms of VAT, because then monthly or every 2 months you will need to file your VAT returns. So in this world of finance, you're going to need to ask yourself, as a business that I'm running, which areas do I know for sure I need guidance on? And if I need guidance on corporate finance, include the banker there, including 5 other financiers, because they will advise you. Guys, when you go and apply to any funder, being NEF or any other funder, and they give you feedback that they cannot fund you for this product, and they then give you the reasons, they are advising you. It's not a rejection. It means you need to go back and relook at, maybe that's not a right suitable funder, it's someone else is a suitable fund. But I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we take this as a rejection. It's actually an advice to say, for now, your risk or this is not right. So you're going to need to also ask yourself, under financial management, what systems and processes do I need to have so that by the time I get to accounting and bookkeeping, things are in order? The number one mistakes that most entrepreneurs make, they are so disorganized with information relating to records. The filing system is a mess, which then takes the accounting and bookkeeping to be wrong. So when you analyze the financial statements, you really ask yourself, what the heck happened? And most of the time you find accountants say, no, that's the information he gave me, the business owner, and there's nothing much I can do. But one thing that I want to say is that as much as the accountant used the information you have provided, you also need to make sure that you find people who will hold you accountable. Because I think the biggest mistakes we made as entrepreneurs were our own bosses. There is no such thing. You need to be accountable to someone. And if you are not accountable, then you will not grow. So as you think about these things, ask yourself, how then do you build systems? How then do you build processes? The book that I've written on Essential Finance Handbook will also allow you to read through to understand certain principles around this. In that book, on step number 6 of the book, I have included even different services that you will get from different service providers within finance, because the scope is so wide and big. You need to be very clear what do you need and how to actually work through that. You also, once you have set up this, you are clear, ask yourself, what systems do I need to use? Guys, stop using an Excel spreadsheet invoice, which you say save as, and then you don't know which one was what. Try to Google and look for systems that are quite cheap. Try to actually look for the systems that are the apps that you can actually build up so that there is a sequence on your invoicing. You are not using a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet. So look at who do you need on your team, and the next thing, what tools to use. And tools also could be Excel spreadsheet for your budgets, and building up could be also looking at other tools that will help you to send as a reminder. By the way, the banks also have some of these tools. So look into your bank and see what other additional service are they providing as a support, because generally they will even give tools. I think FNB does give you free tools, Standard Bank does, ABSA also does, but you have to ask. You have to make an appointment with your bank manager and just ask what support and help can they actually give you. And I think for now, that's all we have when we're talking about building up your finance function, is being clear of what are the activities that happen in finance, and then ask yourself, what tools do you need? Do you need to have it in-house, or do you need to keep it within your business? And what can you do? And watch out again for filing systems. Watch out for being organized in how you're doing things. Thank you.